Hey everybody, thanks for watching RPG channel. This is James, and I apologize for the lighting in here. I know it's bad. I'm going to try to fix it in post-production, I guess. But anyway, right now it looks all like sickly and yellow and stuff, so I don't know how it's going to look whenever you see it. So, okay. I haven't really been spending a lot of time with role-playing stuff lately, primarily because, for one, I don't have time, what with school and all that type of stuff, and all of the time that I do have that I would normally devote to role-playing stuff has had to go to Devil's Crossroads. So I haven't got to actually talk about role-playing stuff as much as I want to, but so since this channel is primarily devoted to all things like nerd culture and all that stuff, like I've talked about a couple of board games and other type stuff on here, I'm going to talk about something over the next few videos that is extraordinarily interesting to me, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and that is graphic novels and comic books, which are mainly the only form of pleasure reading I get to do anymore. So, every video I'm going to talk about a different series of graphic novels or trade paperbacks, and just kind of give you my thoughts on it, hopefully show you guys some stuff that you might not have seen, and if you see something you like, then, you know, go look at it for yourself, you know, see. So, I read a lot of these things, and I couldn't really figure out where I wanted to start with this series, so I decided to start at the beginning, or at least for me, what was the beginning. And that is the graphic novel, or the comic book series Hellblazer. And I read these things in their trade paperback form. It's not like I go out every month and you pick up the new Hellblazer comic or anything like that. I just wait for the trade paperbacks. So there are quite a few Hellblazer trade paperbacks out there. Like, I have a lot of them, plenty more on the bookshelf back there. And for those of you who do not know what Hellblazer is, Hellblazer stars a character by the name of John Constantine. And there was a movie called Constantine starring Keanu Reeves that came out a few years back. I actually liked it, but you shouldn't take that movie as being representative at all of the comic book series, because really they have nothing in common with one another. In the comic book, John Constantine, who started out as a minor character in the Swamp Thing comic books by DC Vertigo, Constantine is a British occultist, something of a investigator, I guess, although he's not really an investigator like a private investigator or anything like that. He just is nosy and likes to play around with the occult. He's also something of a wizard, but he very, very seldom actually does magic. Typically what he does is he lies and he tricks people, or demons, or whatever it is he happens to be dealing with. And this is a very long-running series. It's been going on for forever. And a lot of artists and writers have come and gone and done different things with it. And in the early years, I did not really appreciate the art in the comics. It's very comic book art for the time period, and the standards weren't quite what they are today back then. Alan Moore did a lot of work on these things, and he also worked in Swamp Thing, go figure. So in the early issues, he came out, and it dealt with a lot of occult stories and stuff like that, and it also had a tendency to veer off into political riffs, which was a popular thing for DC Vertigo to do back then. And I really don't like the issues that dealt with political stuff, namely because, one, it's not handled all that well. Like, it's simplified down to the point of being pretty much useless. Like, the allegories are so obvious that they lose their strength as allegories. Also, they don't really pertain to me directly because he's British and I'm American, so we don't have the same political system. So some of the things that they talk about there, I don't really have an immediate interest in. Like, I get the concepts, obviously, but as far as caring about the parties and particular officials and stuff like that, really don't care. And lastly, and most importantly, I don't read Hellblazer comic books for politics. There are some comics that I do read for politics. Hellblazer's not one of them. But in the later issues, the art improves a whole lot, and the storylines do focus more on occult-type things and leave the politics out of it. If you don't know very much about this series, I'm really sorry, because the trade paperbacks aren't numbered or anything, and it's kind of hard to tell what order to read them in. So you'll come in, you know, and read the middle of a story and then go back and pick the beginning up later, then you'll get one from a completely different story arc. You can check online, but if you are just picking them up when you see them, then it's going to be a little bit sporadic and you're not going to understand what's happening all the time. But it's pretty good. Even with that, I mean, they're self-contained enough that you can get the gist of it. And if you read enough of them, you start getting themes over time. If you want to seriously get started in this, though, I would recommend picking up this one. It is called All His Engines, and it's one of the newer ones, so it has the, like, improved art and stuff like that in it. And it's an entirely self-contained story, and is a pretty good hopping on point, and then you can go from there and pick up the other ones as you see fit. So, that very briefly is the Hellblazer comics and the character John Constantine, whom I enjoy a great deal. And I can honestly say this series is not for everyone. I mean, he's a sarcastic occult detective. What's not to like about that? But I can understand why some people might not appreciate the writing, and some of the stories do kind of depend. It almost seems like coincidental the way some of these things resolve. And so while probably not the best series that I read, it's still one of my favorites. And if you're interested in this type of storytelling, I encourage you to check it out, and if not, you know, no hard feelings. But anyway, that's Hellblazer. This has been James with RPG Channel, and I will talk to you about more graphic novels in the videos to come. Thanks for watching.
Oh god, what would be a good